It is Crypto Oasis without all the without all of the upgrades that I've spent a lot of time and a lot of money creating. But it is what the fuck it is, man. We're the show must go on. Charlie Miguel, say something.
Hey,
did you guys hear that? Jesus, dude, I swear to fucking God, man.
All good. Nice. There we go.
I'll tell you what, dude, nothing is more frustrating. I'm not going to get into it. Okay, so crypto or Bitcoin is at $41,000. Charlie, talk about now talk about why crypto fucking shit, man. Bitcoin, $40,000, go.
Yeah, so basically we have Bitcoin here at $41,000. A few different reasons as to why. Basically, when Bitcoin broke past 20K, at that point there's a lot of people who are interested in terms of institutional banking, and so there's also some corporations like MicroStrategy, who we talked about in the last couple episodes that we've done here on Donovan's show. And Michael Saylor, the CEO of MicroStrategy, under his company, bought $1 billion worth of Bitcoin in 2020. And now you have a lot of institutions which basically their customers are asking them, why are you not involved with this asset? Because this asset is now becoming legitimate, and now the price is running away from you. You should be in this. And so actually, just as an example here, Morgan Stanley has bought 10% of MicroStrategy stock in order to have some allocation regarding Bitcoin without actually buying Bitcoin directly. Because if they bought it directly, they might run up the price. And so this is one way for them to kind of have a ad hoc ETF of Bitcoin, which is a way for them to get more exposure. And so there's a lot of these institutions, big money, looking to get more Bitcoin. Still, the normal Joe, the retail trader, is not so involved in Bitcoin yet compared to how much the institutions are in it. So that just means there's a lot more room for the price to go up. And I believe over the next couple of weeks, it will go up still quite dramatically from where it's at now.
Wow. All right. Dollar cost Crip, what are your thoughts on the $40,000 Bitcoin?
I mean, it's amazing. Obviously, you can see I'm stacking my treasure off of all the $40,000 Bitcoin. But going off of just what Cultivate Crypto's point, this is sort of a carrot and stick dynamic that's going around in the equities market right now. So now that a carrot's been given to us, obviously MicroStrategies, for like, good job here, we've just bought 10% of your company, your stock's is shooting up like crazy, and Bitcoin's going up like crazy. A lot of the other companies are probably maybe mid caps to maybe smaller cap companies are going to start just buying up Bitcoin as much as they can in order for people to essentially acquire their equity, because they essentially have a treasury in Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's only the beginning. Some of the people that are starting to even front run this a little bit, someone like a Raoul Paul and stuff, is starting to get very heavy into Ethereum. And I think the next really, obviously we're still haven't passed the whole institutional part in terms of how much people FOMOing into Bitcoin right now. But we're eventually, once the institutions essentially get the price of Bitcoin to a certain point, they're going to really start purchasing quite a lot of Ethereum as well. So this is I mean, we're in a really great, interesting time macro-wise for crypto. It's a lot of money's coming in.
Okay, now what is the Bitcoin? So the Bitcoin is at 41,000. Does that affect Ethereum at all, or is that independent of what's happening?
No, it affects the entire crypto market. So right now, just at the end of last week, the entire cryptocurrency market got about just over $1 trillion in market cap, so in market value. And Ethereum, every time that Bitcoin goes up in price, Ethereum gets basically dragged along with it. And then usually as soon as Bitcoin kind of calms down in price, Ethereum shoots up. And the interesting thing about Ethereum right now is it's at about a couple $100 away from its all-time high. Its all-time high was $1,440. It's currently at $1,330. So it's about $144 away from its all-time high. Once it breaks that, it'll be similar to what happened with Bitcoin. When Bitcoin broke its all-time high at 20,000, boom, now it's at 40, right? Yeah, you'll see something similar with Ethereum, where boom, maybe it's at $2,000, $3,000, and that could happen relatively soon.
Okay, good stuff, man. So I actually heard like sort of a crazy number, like Bitcoin could get to $200,000. Now, dollar cost, that sounds inconceivable, but is that possible? If so, how long would it take?
Honestly, we could see $100,000 this year, even
Okay.
even $125,000 this year.
Okay.
So if this bull market continues on into 22, the $200,000 is not out of the realm of possibility. That market cap's only about anywhere from like 3.8 to about $4 trillion in market cap. So I think it's very probable that could obviously happen this year. You have in terms of the retail investors haven't even really gotten in yet. This pump has been all institutional buyers. There's big money hedge funds, family offices, and obviously MicroStrategies and obviously companies on the S&P 500. So this trend it's got a lot of money behind it. So it's going to be, we're going to run hot.
Wow, dude, it seems almost inconceivable to me. Oh, wait a minute. It seems almost inconceivable to me that we could hit $125,000. That's just, to me, those are just ridiculous numbers here. James Young with the $100 super chat says, my biggest regret is not buying Bitcoin at 36 cents in 2010. There's a story to that. I've heard projections of Bitcoin reaching 500,000. Buy Bitcoin and hold on to it. Look into other coins as well. Now, of course, listen, now that we're at 41,000, I mean, anything's possible at this point. We're going to start hearing and seeing some pretty radical numbers. What do you think? Listen, what do you think Bitcoin's highest price will be all time? Like, I mean, is the sky the limit, or are there limits or caps to it?
Well, if you go by, I mean, yeah, if you're going to go to like all-time high for forever, that type of price, you can go back to when Bitcoin started. One of the first guys who mined Bitcoin, his name was Hal Finney. He was the first known person to be mining Bitcoin. And when he started mining it, one of the first things that he kind of wrote in open forum blogs about Bitcoin was, just if you're to do kind of a risk versus reward. So the risk of this being magic internet money basically being worthless at the time, versus, well, if it does suck up a decent amount of world value in terms of the money that's out there in the world, like let's say at that time, that was in 2009, he hypothesized, well, what if Bitcoin did suck up all of the fiat currency value globally? Then one Bitcoin would roughly be around $10 million at the time. Of course, now there's trillions and trillions of more dollars and other currencies as well in this world, so it'd probably be higher than that. So if you were to look at like what's the cap for Bitcoin price, I mean, sky is kind of the limit for that in terms of how does it actually operate within the world. Now, I don't think Bitcoin is going to be the one and only currency in this world. I think there's going to be plenty of them, so they're going to have to share. But at the same time, you know, talking about $100,000, $200,000, $400,000 Bitcoin within this bull market is not absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
that is, dude, that to me is, you said it's not absolutely ridiculous. That is, dude, that blows my mind, man. It absolutely blows my mind. Tricky Trini in the chat says it is true. Only 1% of the population uses this.
Yep.
I actually heard this from MLD when he was in studio a little bit earlier today. He said only 1%, I guess. When he talks about 1%, what exactly is he talking about?
I'll let Dollar Cost if you want to take that one.
So what he's talking about, when only 1% of people, we're talking about globally, only about a percent. It could be give or take a little bit here and there, but basically only really roughly 1% of the whole global population is even using Bitcoin right now. So if you're in Bitcoin right now and crypto at large, you're actually sort of like you're in the 1% essentially, because you're actually crypto literate. And this is why, like, me and Charlie get a little frustrated that a lot of people are hesitating when we've been telling them for such a long time to get in at much cheaper prices.
Right.
I mean,
for almost 2 years now.
But as the prices grow up higher, it brings more eyeballs to crypto, so more people are going to come into the space, and it's jet fueled for the price for all these tokens. I mean, if you have an expansion, let's just say if we are 1% of the total population of the world that's in crypto right now, if that were to grow to even 5%, 10%, 8%, the gains would be unbelievable. I mean, even just getting to 3%, 4% of the population, it would be unbelievable. I mean, just exponential.
3 to 4%. Yeah, 3 to 4% of the population. That would, I mean, are we talking like double Are we talking like double and triple what the Bitcoin is now? Like, how would that?
Yeah, at least.
And it's almost like where does the train end? Like, when does it stop? Because a lot of people are scared to get in because they're afraid. Okay, listen, man. Like, okay, this is all good, but there was a crash last time, and I didn't really survive it, right? So, Cultivate. Talk to us about guys feeling a little bit apprehensive about getting into Bitcoin, of course, because of the fact that they've been burned before.
Yeah. So the way that I usually present it to people who are rather new to cryptocurrency, or even if they've been burned before, is like, well, don't look at it as a way to get rich quick, right? We mentioned that in a couple other episodes, because if you're looking at it as something that you're going to put in money into like within like the next like couple of months and then take out of it within a year, first of all, the tax implication to that, at least in the United States, is not good if you buy in and then take out within a single year. But then in addition to that, it's mainly like a long-term savings account for most people. So if you take a look and say, hey, I really want to keep myself away from $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, whatever it is. I don't want myself to be, touching that money and using it over the next couple of years. Just stick in for 2, 3, 5, 10 years, whatever your time frame is. And then you don't have to worry about the volatility so much. And then you understand you have at least a portion of your capital in the best performing asset in the world right now. And if you look at it that way, it's not as scary because you're looking at the longer time frame. Now, I usually tell people if you need to touch that money, right, that's a different story. You want to keep enough cash on hand, in case of disaster or whatever situation may come. So just put in whatever you're willing to not touch for 2, 3, 5, 10 years. And basically it should be pretty simple.
Now, I've actually thought about it like this, man. I've thought, okay, because I'm going to be putting a lot more money into Bitcoin than I had originally told the two of you that I was going to put in.
Right.
Okay. So what I was thinking about doing is this. I was like, okay, let's say Bitcoin gets to $100,000. Well, what I was thinking about doing was taking like maybe 30% that I made off the profit, of course, less what the principal was. So let's just, I don't know what the numbers would be, and then leave the rest in. Correct. Would you suggest doing something like that, or should you not touch it at all?
Darkos, if you want to jump on that one.
Yeah. So that's something I call like the rule of three. So there's the rule of three is essentially when you have an asset that essentially almost goes up 3 times, 2 times in price, what you could do is essentially sell enough to get your original principal out, or even take 2/3 of it out. So take principal plus profit. So let's just say you just bought 1 Bitcoin as an example. Right now, you bought a $40,000 Bitcoin, and Bitcoin goes to 120,000. What you could do is take out $80,000 into cash and leave 1/3 of a Bitcoin there. And essentially, you've doubled your money, and you have long-term exposure to Bitcoin. Right. And now you've completely de-risked the position where it's basically almost like fun money at that point, where like you really don't care about its current price, right? But if Bitcoin were to keep going up, essentially you have a little pot to draw in where you can slowly keep dripping money out of it
there we go.
Up. And now so not only have you saved your original principal, you've doubled it and added in, you've got that interest in your pocket. And then in terms of that, if the price keeps climbing up, it's what we call a moon bag, is that you're able to draw it on that moon bag the entire time while it's ramping up, and you have a nice decent income growing up from it. So it's like, imagine you keep selling it. Every time Bitcoin goes up, you sell it back to $40,000. It keeps going up. You keep selling it back to $40,000, and you just keep doing that. And then eventually it will draw down, and then you just leave it there. Essentially, whatever's left over at that point after the cycle is over. But you've been able to essentially draw cash the entire time off your position.
Yes. Listen, this is exactly what I was talking about. I was like, listen, man, I want to take a long-term approach, but I want to at least a little bit enjoy the fruits of my labor, right?
Definitely.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Taco with the $5 super chat says, invested in Bitcoin at 8,000. Regret not investing more because I've tripled my money so far. Dude, can you imagine only tripling your money because you only invested 8K? Can you imagine? Let's just say this guy put in 50.
I can't imagine
that 150 right now, man. Oh, God. Yeah, right. Technomage B5 with the $10 super chat says, exactly. Don't be like me, where I invested aggressively, then cashed out while the value was down due to temporary financial hardship, only to see it take off a few months later. Use it as throwaway money. I agree. Listen, listen. Cultivate. I think, and what Dollar Cost Crypt just said with the rule of 3, I think that's a brilliant strategy.
Oh, for sure.
Are you in agreement with that?
Oh, 100%. That's one of the things that we talk about in our course, right? If you're really conservative, wait for a double. If you basically understand the market, wait for a 3x. If you're really aggressive and you're maybe a little bit more risk tolerant than other people, maybe wait for a 5x, not with Bitcoin specifically, but with other cryptocurrencies as well. So yeah, I mean, that strategy is absolutely perfect. So it's one of the things that we recommend highly to the people who jump into our services. Okay,
perfect. Now, speaking of your services, I have put my cryptocurrency life into your hands. I sent you right at $4,000 in cryptocurrency. I couldn't even do it. It wouldn't even let me do it. It wouldn't let me send it all. It wouldn't let me send all of it. I think until like Wednesday or Thursday. Where am I at now?
So you started with basically the amount of Bitcoin that you had. Basically, in terms of actual Bitcoin, it was 0.1226. Okay, so that's the amount of Bitcoin. It's currently at about $5,050. And I think when you had bought that originally, you had mentioned that it was around $4,000 in USD value. So
there you go.
Yeah, just by buying Bitcoin itself in the last 1 week, it's gone up by $1,000.
Yeah. Easy. And check this out. When I sent the $4,000 over to you, I had like $221 left over. I let it sit there, and now it's at 468. It's gone by 3. It's gone up by 3. It's got 3.11, just over 3% today. So this is just absolutely incredible. Silent E says, I have 3 Bitcoin never selling. What are your thoughts on that? Okay. See, the way I see it is, okay, he's never selling, but Bitcoin's not going to go up forever. At some point, you do have to cash out. Am I wrong?
There's a few different strategies for that, right? So one strategy would be simply, just hold on to it for forever because it's money that you're just tucking away for a rainy day and you're not worried about the volatility. That being said, there's a lot of people who say, well, when Bitcoin goes up by whatever percent, let's say, 1,000, 2,000%, then all of a sudden, you're going to want to protect against the volatility, because when it goes down, it usually goes down in a bear market about 84 to 94% on average. So yeah, even if you bought Bitcoin, let's say at 10K, it goes up to 300K and then it comes back down to 40K. Yes, you're still 4x on your original money, but yeah, psychologically for most people, that doesn't feel too good. No. And even if you know that it'll get to 1 million someday, right? For most people, psychologically, they can't handle that. So some people are hodlers, is what we call them, people who hold Bitcoin, hodlers of last resort. They will never sell. That's great. One way that you can also do this without selling is, well, if you want to increase your gains, you can, I don't recommend this for newbies at all. This is more of like an institutional level type of trade, is people can use leverage with it. Increase that Bitcoin that you have into, multiple Bitcoin. And then you have such a bigger stack than you originally put in, then the volatility doesn't matter as much to you. That's another strategy, but like I said, definitely not for beginners whatsoever. There's enough volatility in crypto for most people that you don't need any extra volatility or any extra leverage. So, but there's just institutions and banks, they'll do it a lot differently than your average Joe. So there's a million different ways that you can do this too. But that's just one way that you can do it without having to sell and feel bad about how much you originally put in.
Okay, good stuff. Any thoughts on that, Miguel?
Yeah. So in terms of that, so obviously I would never recommend just never selling at all, because like Cultivate said, that psychologically is really rough. And as well as like, unless you're already kind of independently wealthy, then the money doesn't really matter to you. But one strategy that you could do that someone like Michael Saylor plans to do in the future is that he'll borrow on his Bitcoin. Wow. And you'll be able to take a loan on your Bitcoin, and you won't ever. So what you'll do is, like, let's just say Bitcoin's at 100,000 after, let's just say we're in the next bear market or something and Bitcoin's recovered and we're at maybe like 100,000 per Bitcoin. So what someone could do is then just deposit their Bitcoin in something like a Celsius or some other service, do a 25% LTV loan and borrow $25,000 on his Bitcoin, use that money for life. And then as Bitcoin starts going up in price, the Bitcoin starts getting released over time, and then as Bitcoin goes up into the next bull market cycle, the loan will be paid off with interest as well as with the Bitcoin price going up. And then what ends up happening is you got your $25,000 back in your pocket, and you got that full Bitcoin back. And then you can do it all over again. But obviously, as we start getting into the later stages of the market, it gets a little more riskier. So this is just sort of a tool of like sometimes life happens and you do need cash, but you don't want to get out of position. Sometimes a loan isn't a terrible idea. You just got to know that you just got to weigh the risks to rewards on doing this sort of thing.
Absolutely. Andrew Landerville, looks like I missed this one earlier, said MLD said, how do you pronounce that? Is it Dogecoin?
Dogecoin.
Dogecoin is a joke, but Elon tweeted about maybe buying it in the future. It's on his radar. Lots of things have turned from a joke to serious.
Yeah, there was a porn star as well last week who bought some Dogecoin, and she tweeted about it on Twitter, and the price doubled like within a day. Yeah, Elon's quite the shit poster on Twitter, right?
So you're saying that Elon's just having fun with us?
Yeah. He said he wanted to buy, or he said he owned about just the other day. He said I own about 420,000 Bitcoin and about 69 million Dogecoin, and those numbers mean something, right?
Look, man, see, but that's the thing. But here's the thing: this guy Andrew Landerville didn't think he was joking. Right? Yeah. He's like, listen, a lot of things. He actually thought, because that's what I was thinking. It
is on his radar, though. He's correct about that part of his statement, right? So, I mean, he's noticing it and he's tweeting about it. He's joking about it. He understands that it's in the collective consciousness.
Oh, my God. This is incredible. Yes, I know. Listen, Dev, I know it's a joke, but that's what I'm saying. When he says this when he says this kind of thing, those who don't know any better, well, I don't know. Elon said it's on his radar. If it's on everybody's fucking radar. It's a joke. Jokes are on everybody's radar. Edward Patton, $5 says, do you think Ethereum price will drop before the year is over? Dollar Cross, what you got?
Wait, I'm sorry. Do you think Ethereum's price will drop before the year is over?
Or best to start getting some now?
I would start dollar cost averaging now, to tell you the truth. Honestly, we could see if we actually get some of the more stimulus money coming in, it might actually put like a backstop to maybe Bitcoin correcting, and then you'll get a lot more retail traders just coming in because they have anywhere from $600 to maybe $2,000 depending on what the stimulus package is, and that could end up pushing the market more up. And obviously, if you have, let's just say you have $2,000 and you look at Bitcoin, right? This isn't the correct way to think about, but there's something called unit bias where people like to own whole pieces of coins, not fractions of coins. It doesn't matter, but sometimes it's you'd be better off with like a full Bitcoin or with a fraction of a Bitcoin than a million of these other like a million Doge, right? But what someone will end up doing is seeing like, wow, I've got $2,000. Ethereum's like $1,000. I can buy a full one. Cool. And then I'll go pick up, like a Litecoin with a spare change. Nice. And then these tokens will start accruing quite a lot of money and be held by a lot of brand new investors as well as institutional purchasers as well. So the price of Ethereum could well go up. There always is corrections in a bull market. So don't be surprised that obviously we can see Ethereum go up to $3,000. It takes a correction back to $1,500. Which is its old all-time high. It's a 50% correction, but then go back up to $2,000, and then from there keep going up for the rest of the year. Maybe after it cools off a little bit, and then just keep accumulating. But that's what happens in the bull markets is you do get corrections in the price. They're usually 20 to 60% corrections. But then as long as the trend isn't broken, they'll continue to they'll recover back, and then it's a great point when you get that huge trough to actually accumulate some more because it's on discount.
Okay, good stuff. Pardon me. Cultivate Crypto. What are your thoughts on the Ethereum price?
Yeah, so currently it's at $1,300, and we're in the early part of what we have. This guy named Bob Lucas, who I would highly recommend that you go and check him out on YouTube. Loukas. He's a traditional trader. One thing he talks about is 60-day Bitcoin cycles. So we tend to get these nice price moves sometimes when we're in a bull market to the upside. Obviously in a bear market it's to the downside, but we're at the very beginning of a new 60-day cycle. Basically, I think I'd have to take a look here on the chart, but maybe just a couple days or like 3 or 4 days into it, which means in my opinion, we have the next 2 weeks of mostly upwards price action, and Ethereum's right next to its all-time high. So it's knocking on heaven's door. I think it's going to break through it. It could potentially go to 2,000.
Put it out like that.
Yeah, I like that
Yeah,
song too.
yeah.
But it could break through, right? To $2,000, maybe even $3,000, as dollar cost crypto said right there.
Wow.
And yeah, if it does have a correction, maybe it's back down to $1,500, which is $200 higher than the current price. So should you get some now? Definitely. Should you put all of your money in it at one time? Definitely not. So dollar cost averaging, as he said, is definitely the way. But I would be a little bit more aggressive at this point in time, personally. But that's just, my opinion.
Okay, very good. Good answers, man. Red Pill Mike says, I've been hearing about crypto for the last 10 months. $10 super chat. Says, thank you for putting it out there. I was putting it on the back burner. I'm gathering info and will slowly put money in next month. I'll tell you what, dude, if he put as much money in crypto as he does in super chats, that guy's going to be a fucking millionaire in about 6 months. I'll tell you that. Andrew Landerville, he, of course, was telling me about the fact that I missed the Doge coin. I appreciate that. Tie City Garage says, God bless you all. Time high buyers. I love it.
I love it.
Taco, $5 says, I doubled my $600 stimulant check with Dogecoin when it had its low run of Jesus Christ, man.
Perfect. DJ's in the house.
I swear to God, man. James Young says, I actually hold Dogecoin. I know it's a joke, but I do see value in it. Now I'm confused, man. I don't know what. Listen, I'm really confused. I don't know if it's really a coin or if it's really
100% a coin that does appreciate in value, and it has doubled over the last couple of weeks. So he's 100% correct. Like,
man, I just want to make sure, man. I don't know. Maybe,
but it's not something that I would ever buy personally. So I don't recommend it to people. But I mean, it's the best meme coin out there. So if people love the memes, why the hell not? YOLO.
In a 5-year span, Dogecoin is expected to reach the 4-cent mark. Dogecoin prediction implies that its price is up for a long-term gain, and in 2025, the price is forecasted to stand at 4 4/10 cents. So it looks like Dogecoin is on the rise. This is so funny. Rob Mash, $5 says, couldn't you just put $100 in Litecoin, save that, and let it stack, or put $100 each month in Bitcoin? Interesting question. Cultivate Crypto. What do you got on that?
So it depends on all on timing, right? So if you put, at the early stages of a market, Litecoin does very well. And then at the late stages of a market, Litecoin does very well compared to Bitcoin. So sometimes looking at the crypto to crypto ratio is the easiest way to tell that. And I think Litecoin will have its run for sure. So it's basically we have Bitcoin, which runs up first. It's at new all-time highs now. Ethereum looks like it's knocking on new all-time highs, so it'll go. That will be the next one to go. Then I think Litecoin's the one after that, because Litecoin's kind of where Ethereum was, just about a month ago. And so maybe around March, right? Around that time, you could start seeing Litecoin break its all-time high, which is around $420. Okay. So it's a good. I think Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin, those are the top three that will be here. They've stood the test of time already, and I think they will continue to. So Litecoin's a good investment as well.
Excellent. Dollar cost script, your thoughts on stacking $100 in Litecoin, saving it, or just put $100 each month in Bitcoin? What do you think?
In terms of where it is right now, I would probably put the $100 into Litecoin right now.
Okay.
But if you want the most bang for your buck, I would obviously no financial advice and everything, but I would probably put, I would do a 50-50, 50 into Ethereum, 50 into Litecoin. And that over time, you would essentially get a couple Litecoin, and then eventually you would get a full Ethereum, and you'd be with the price appreciation, be pretty happy with the returns, because long term, I do see Litecoin going to over $1,000 and higher.
Oh, okay.
In the bull market.
I noticed that you guys often say this is not financial advice. Is that a disclaimer?
I do it because of YouTube, basically, and also it's kind of a little bit of a running joke at the same time. So it kind of serves two purposes.
Okay, all right.
There's just some people in the chat that are like, "This is the best non-financial advice I've ever received." I was like, I'll run with that.
All right. And then, in my non-financial advice opinion, we should X, Y, and Z, right?
Right. And then for YouTube as well, they tend to treat streams. Crypto streams are not streams that they like them, but if you do it improperly, like if you're shilling too much, or if you're basically telling people like buy Ripple as much as possible and all this stuff, they won't treat you as kindly. So it's one of those things that you want to make sure that you're above board with.
Okay, so the fact that we're treating the Dogecoin as a joke and saying this is not financial advice, this is probably why it still has the green dollar sign on my channel.
There we go.
Devin is dropping this just in. We've got more Dogecoin news. Wait a minute. We already saw that one. By the end of 2021, the Dogecoin may certainly reach 0.02 cents according to the algorithm from walletinvestor.com that does automatic technical analysis of all coins on the market. Another relatively popular site for price predictions forecasts that in December, Dogecoin price will be around 2,000th.
You're gonna FOMO your 100K subscribers all in the Dogecoin.
What, man? Hey, you know what, Charlie? Put everything I have in the Dogecoin, man. See, I can do this too. Andrew says, yes, I understand Dogecoin is see, even he was playing me. He was dude, he convinced me that he actually believed that it wasn't a joke. This is how behind I am. Right. He says, look at stupid famous people, 5 to 15-year-old. Wow. Dude, I was thinking, wait, is everybody pranking me right now? Like, is this a real thing or not? All right. Tyson Jaleo, $5 Canadian says, do I put my money in Ethereum or DOT? I've already doubled my money on DOT, and it seems like it won't slow down anytime soon. Dollar cost, your thoughts? Oops. Wait a minute. Sorry about that. All right. Dollar cost, your thoughts?
Honestly, right now, I'd probably put into Ethereum over DOT. I think Ethereum's it's going to start running first. Then eventually, what you could end up doing if once Ethereum slows down a bit and maybe it's $2,500 or maybe it's $4,000 just chilling, then you could roll some of that, maybe half of that profit into DOT token, and now you have an Ethereum position and a bigger DOT position that was just paid for with gains on your money. So that's the way I would do it.
Okay. Cultivate Crypto. God.
Yeah,
moving people and then putting them back in. What are your thoughts?
There we go.
There we go.
So yeah, basically I would say, I would agree with that. You want to be heavy on the main players first with Bitcoin or Ethereum, and maybe a little bit of Litecoin. But I do believe Polkadot has massive potential, especially in 2021. Potentially Polkadot, Cardano, those are two protocols that could do massively well. So it depends also how much money you're putting in. So if you're putting in $1,000, then I would say, mainly Ethereum. But if you're putting in, let's say $50,000, you put mainly Ethereum, but you can still have a pretty good position compared to DOT. For DOT, maybe like 5% of your portfolio or something like that. So the reason why I think people shouldn't sleep on Polkadot is because as it does run up, it's running up at new all-time highs as well. We can go into the details of why it's such a good coin later, but mainly Ethereum, and then have a bit of an allocation to DOT if it outpaces Ethereum later in the market.
Okay, very good. Good answer, man. So you have Cultivate Crypto. You've got some charts that you would like to show us in terms of, and I think this is, you're going to give us more or less a projection, or is this something that you've I guess tracked over the last couple of weeks or couple of months?
Yeah, I can give you a rundown basically of what the Bitcoin price is looking like, the Ethereum price, how that relates to the rest of the market, and then also add an extra chart in there for you as well.
Okay, perfect. So while Cultivate Crypto gets that going, let me read some of the non-super. Oh, never mind. I guess he's almost done. Oh, wait a minute. Never mind. All right. Well, enough of that. And so to business. Here we go. What we got?
Yep. So basically, as I mentioned before, we have these roughly 60-day Bitcoin cycles. So we had one that was 56 days long to the previous high. We had a very short low, and then we're off to the races a little bit again here already. So we're currently about 5 days into that cycle. Traditionally, with the Bitcoin 60-day cycles, roughly the first, I would say, about 7 to 10 days, and sometimes up to about 20 to 25 days for the first half of the cycle. You generally, in a bull market, get a positive move up in this. So you could even see, like, if we were to put that out to like the minimum of 7 to 10 days, right? Basically early next week, we'd see higher prices, maybe dip a little bit back down. And then for me, I'm looking though positively towards maybe the first 20 days of this cycle at least, which would bring us to the end of the month here. So if we kind of zoom out and see how does that fit in with where the price can go on a longer term scale, the one thing, I'll just take all these drawings off. Oops, that's not the one. There we go. So it looks pretty amazing right here in terms of how high it's gone already. So you can see the previous high here at about just under 20,000, let's say 19,600, right? It knocked right on there for about 3 weeks, and then it blasted right through it. So it's really hard for people then to predict, okay, where's it going to go after that? Before that breakout happened, one thing I did talk about on my show quite extensively is there's a lot of drawings here, but what I'll just focus on is the orange line that's slanted down, and then this other orange line, which is slanted up. That's what we call a symmetrical triangle. When we break out of one of those, you take the top price and the bottom price difference, and you add that to the breakout. And that gave us our initial target of 27,000. So for quite a long time, I'd been letting guys know we're going to get to 27,000. And yeah, the next two targets to the upside are about $45,000 and $60,000. But then looking towards Ethereum, so what does that mean for the rest of the market?
Right.
If we take a look at this website here, coinmarketcap.com, this is an easy website to kind of understand and take a look at.
Yeah, it looks very comprehensive.
Yeah, it's a little bit like small at the top here, but we got the market cap, which is about the total market cap of all cryptocurrencies. So the market value in here is about $1.1 trillion currently.
Okay.
And Bitcoin comprises $767 billion in market cap. So
wow.
Comprises, yeah, it's a decent amount of money. Compared to Wall Street money, it's still like a drop in the bucket.
Sure, but I mean, it's not nothing, right?
Exactly. Not nothing. And it's proving itself as an asset that can't be ignored anymore. And so that's why we got all the institutions and banks wanting to jump in this. And so Bitcoin, if we go by percentages here, about 68 or so percent dominates. And so if we take a look at that chart, we can see here Bitcoin is about 69% dominance in the market. And so you can chart this as well.
6%, wow.
And what happened in 2017 was Bitcoin was about 90% dominant. It was basically the main player in town. And then you had Ethereum, and you had all of the ICOs at that time for the other cryptocurrencies start taking market share. And so when Bitcoin dominance dropped, the Bitcoin price didn't drop. The Bitcoin price went up like crazy, but also the other cryptocurrencies as well went up like crazy. So what we've been seeing just in the last, let's say, couple of months, we've seen Bitcoin dominating the market more so. So the other cryptocurrencies, except for a select few, haven't been doing as well. Most of the money has been coming into Bitcoin because, like me and Dollar Cost has said earlier in the show, the retail traders, the everyday traders, haven't really paid attention to the market quite as much yet as the institutions. So therefore, they have more liquidity or more ability to buy Bitcoin, whereas Ethereum, if we take a look at its market cap, is much less at 150 billion, and everything else is basically just comprising up the rest of the market, but really hard for large players to buy. So in order for the other cryptocurrencies to run up as much, it requires A, Bitcoin to do well, but then B, people to see the value in those rather than Bitcoin because maybe Bitcoin's price feels too high for them to buy. So then they start purchasing these other coins. And so Ethereum is the first one where we will see that happen. And we're already starting to see that follow Bitcoin's price now. And like I said, if you just take a look here, right, Ethereum is right next to.
Yeah. I mean, you can see that it tracks. I mean, it's almost on the same line the entire time.
It's right there. And
really, dude, that is really close, man.
Yeah. And if we go back to the Bitcoin chart, if I take all those drawings off, I mean, you see here, there's only 3 weeks, like 3 weeks here where it was touching right there. And then what happened? Boom.
Yep, there it was. Man.
So that's a similar thing will happen to Ethereum. And if you think the last 2 weeks have been crazy for Ethereum, I would say wait for the next few months. It's going to, it's going to be crazy.
Buy Ethereum. Listen, man, I'm trying to tell you guys. You have to buy Ethereum. Here's a question here by Brent Wallace, and thanks for the $5 super chat. This is something you guys discussed last week, but I don't think he was here. He wants to know what you guys think about XRP. So Dollar Cost. What are your thoughts on XRP? And just sort of give the Reader's Digest version because you guys talked about it extensively last week.
Sure. So what it is basically, or just
because I think he's referring to the legal issues, so to speak.
Right. So what's going on is the U.S. government's essentially suing XRP, and it's suing its parent company, which owns XRP for the most part, which Ripple, for essentially doing it in a legal ICO, or in other terms, an illegal IPO to U.S. investors. And if it is treated as a security, they're going to be sued and having to pay a lot of penalties. And currently, they're going to be delisted from a lot of major U.S. exchanges on January 18th and 16th, depending on which.
Dude, that's coming up, isn't it?
It's coming up real soon. So I honestly, I feel really terrible for the people because like obviously like XRP has been around since the last cycle in 2017, and a lot of people do believe in it. But to tell you the truth, they're going to get spanked real hard with the price, and I would not be holding it right now.
Yeah.
I just
to me, it's not. To me, it's not really. It's not really a matter of believing whether or not this particular cryptocurrency can perform. It's going to be public perception. This lawsuit, in and of itself, I mean, what even if they don't lose, they're still going to take the L, right?
Yeah.
It's terrible, dude.
Because it's like they just don't like that. Like essentially, the government can touch it. It's like this whole thing. Part of crypto, a lot of if it's really decentralized, like something like Bitcoin and Ethereum, they really couldn't really attack it too much. They would have to go really out of the way to maybe go after like the original founding members or something. But with something like an XRP, there actually is an office, and there actually is people and a CEO to the company, so they can the United States government can actually bust the doors down.
Seuss, yeah, right, yeah. And they probably will.
Yep.
Black Sunday, $5 says, what do you guys think of Link and AAVE long term? Cultivate Crypto, what you got on that?
Link is awesome. The Chinese government is using basically Link is an Oracle service, and so I don't need to explain exactly what that is right now, but basically it's massive. There you have Google, you have China, you have a bunch of people in crypto who are using the Chainlink service. So Chainlink is a solid investment. Aave is one of the bigger players in the DeFi space, DeFi being decentralized finance. So it will build out as that market builds out too. So it's a little bit immature at the moment, but it's gaining traction. And the price in 2020 for Aave was absolutely amazing. And so I think it has a pretty good shot. So long term, I would go more towards Chainlink, but I think DeFi will have a big space or big place in the cryptocurrency space. So Aave, I would want a little bit of that as well.
Okay. Dollar cost.
Yeah. So Link's going to do very well. Link's essentially just an Oracle system, which is it basically grabs the information off of different parts of the internet and then brings it to the space. So it can essentially tell you without you telling it. It can find the actual price of Ethereum and give you an aggregate of all the prices and give you an average of what the price is. So you're able to compute like smart contracts on Ethereum and get instant price, correct price on that instrument that can't be really messed with. So it essentially grabs from like, let's just say like 100 different sources and then gets a price. So that way you're not getting like bad pricing. So it's basically, it gathers and grabs information and puts it into essentially into these like UIs and stuff in these contracts to make sure that their information is very correct. It's in a way as well, probably more than likely being used by Aave as well inside of its system. So when you borrow money, if let's just say the price goes up, Link's what tells Aave in a way that the price is going up. Because these are things are decentralized and Link's starting to get more decentralized, but Aave is decentralized. As these things get more and more decentralized, Link's essentially feeding information into Aave and then Aave's essentially the prices inside move up and down, fluctuating on what Chainlink is essentially telling to Aave's smart contracts. So it's essentially an information highway of just information, which is pretty cool. And Aave is, obviously a lending platform like Cultivate just said, and it's very good. I've got both of these coins in my portfolio. Me personally, I'm a little more heavier on Aave right now, but Charlie's a little more heavier in Link, I would imagine. So they're great projects. I would totally invest in both.
Okay, very good. Will the Coldest is in the house. He said he just bought 0.59 Ethereum. Do you guys think that there will be a massive dip this year across the board or only up? Charlie, your thoughts?
Nothing goes only up. So it will go up the majority of the time. But there will be, several big dips, and you'll need to pay attention to Bitcoin's price and Ethereum's price to understand when those will happen. So that's why we pay attention to those on my channel as much as possible. But from the current moment, I would say you're pretty well off having bought that Ethereum today.
Okay, very good. Age of Machines, $5 says, followed your Cash App advice, was easy and awesome. I'm still a newbie, though. Great stream. Yeah, I remember Dollar Cost talked about that yesterday. James Young says, I'm reading up on the XRP and the lawsuit. From what I read, XRP is a U.S. problem and so far has no effect on the rest of the world. The result of the suit can affect other coins that started as an ICO like XRP did. That's interesting. What are your thoughts on that, Miguel?
In terms of for XRP, you're right. It is a U.S. problem, but the problem is the rest of the world kind of follows what the United States does. So just because they want to be compliant with U.S. customers, so there's foreign exchanges that want to take U.S. customers, and because these U.S. customers go to the foreign exchange through KYC, they can't touch XRP either. So you're actually gonna see delistings worldwide for outside of maybe a couple of more gray level exchanges, like maybe a Binance just doesn't care, or maybe a KuCoin won't care, and will continue to list XRP, but that's going to hurt the price because exchanges that want the U.S. money, which is a very big amount of money, will just say, you know what, it's not worth me losing all my customers. I'm just going to take that coin out of here. There's 1,000 other coins, and that's what's going to happen. And then if they win the lawsuit, they'll be added back. At that point, if let's just say they win, boom, the price is probably going to go up quite a lot, which is very good for you guys.
Okay.
If that's the gamble. Is it going to win? Or does it lose?
Wow,
that's the play essentially. So that's why that's more of a gamble. So it's like coin flip, you know. What are you going to bet on?
Yeah,
red
Bitcoin flip. Tom A with the $5 super chat says, "I have 20,000 TRX from the last cycle. Do I sell or hold on? It has petered out." Cultivate. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would just take it and put it into something that's going to do better. Sometimes psychologically, it is hard to get rid of something that you've held for so long, but I think you're going to get better gains from Bitcoin or Ethereum at the current moment. So yeah, it's better to get out into something that's going to do better now, and then maybe later it comes back, and then at that time you can reevaluate that position. But I would get into something better.
Okay, what exactly is TRX? Is that a coin?
Yeah. It's called Tron. Tron.
Oh, yeah. Tron. I heard about that. Last week. Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably sell it too. It's roughly about almost $700 right now. You could easily get a Litecoin and maybe like half of an Ethereum. Hey, and I know those will go up. So it's like that's not a bad or even just rolling it into Bitcoin if you don't know what to do right now. But yeah, I would definitely I wouldn't keep Tron right now.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Tyson Jaleel, $5 Canadian says, "What are your thoughts on the proposed FINCEN rules, FinCEN? Will it have a major impact on crypto?" Cultivate.
So I think those rules were all rolled out in order to just kind of scare the public away from crypto, because they saw that cryptocurrency was starting to gain traction, and what the government and what the SEC and what some media organizations love to do is this thing that we call FUD, making people feel fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So just having that little seed of doubt in your mind makes you really not want to touch crypto. I don't think it'll have a massive effect right now. And I think it'll be really hard for them to implement the rules that they have wanted to with wallets. And I don't really think they've been trying to do this for the last few years. Eventually, they may come across something. But the other thing that cryptocurrency is having in a trend right now is becoming even more decentralized, using decentralized exchanges and things like this. So that trend as well will kind of circumvent any effect, not any effect, but a majority of the effect that rule is trying to have.
Okay, good answer. I swear to God, you guys know everything about this stuff. I swear to God, dude. I have not 80% of the questions I've heard for the first time. There's all sorts of, and you guys every time. It's incredible, man. Matt, $5 Canadian says, "What can be done with Bitcoin Cash?" See, main coin. What is that? "I get them both as a byproduct to mining off of bitminter.com. Should they be traded for something else? Dollar cost."
Absolutely, sir.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, Bitcoin Cash. So, like we've said before, right? The 3 institutional tokens that are being purchased by Grayscale, which is basically the leading indicator of what the big money's buying, are Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum. There's another product that they have on the books that actually can be invested by large investors. It's called Bitcoin Cash. But what's going on right now is that it's not being purchased at all for a long time. So what's going on right now is, I think that once we go into the tip of the bull market, I think they're going to be dumping off that coin, and I think more than likely Bitcoin Cash will die in the bear market. It means it won't recover.
Wow. You think so?
That's honestly my gut feeling, and I'm just gonna go with my gut on this one. I'm just, from what I'm seeing, I'm just not seeing adoption's pretty much stalled on it. Obviously, everything will pump, everything will have its time in the sun a little bit in this bull market, but its community is not really growing much, and without the institutional money kind of going there, a lot of the institutional money, because they already owned some Bitcoin, they got given a free copy, 1-for-1. So let's just say you bought Bitcoin back in the day at $1,000. And you own 10 of them, you would get 10 Bitcoin cash. And what's going on is that a lot of these institutional investors, they don't care. They like, some of them are really rich. They just park their money there and they got this free Bitcoin cash. And then as the market's going up, they're like, wow, I want more Bitcoin. I'll just sell my Bitcoin cash. So you have these huge holders of these coins that'll just eventually, once the price gets to a certain point where they'll dump it and probably crash the price.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible, dude. Charlie, do you agree or disagree?
I agree 100%. We were actually talking about this in a personal conversation the other day as well. And one thing that I would add to that is one of the only things, because he was mentioning there, Bitcoin Cash isn't being used as much, right? The transactions on the blockchain are not as frequent as a lot of other projects. But in addition to that, one of the only things kind of keeping Bitcoin Cash going is the fact that when you mine Bitcoin, you mine it with this thing called an ASIC, ASIC miner. And that technology, when, for example, Bitcoin Cash becomes a little bit more profitable to mine than Bitcoin, they do shift those miners over to there for a brief period of time, but then they sell that immediately. So there's not a lot of people who are really using it. Like he said, the community was kind of dying. So I think eventually people will be letting it go, and it won't be doing quite as well. So I would rather take that and buy Ethereum at the moment.
Okay, very good. James Young actually has a thought. He says, as a thought, Tom A could stake a small position of TRX. Okay. I don't know if that, I don't know. You guys have any thoughts on that?
I mean, you gain a little interest with it, but you're still not going to outpace Ethereum with that.
Okay, right. So it's just not worth it, in other words.
No.
Okay, gotcha. Rob Mash, $5 says, what if you're YOURE, a broke college student with $1,967 in your account? Should you still invest in Litecoin or Bitcoin? This goes back to, hey, invest as much as you can without being afraid of losing. So you should only invest initially what you're unafraid to lose. Does that sound about right?
Yep. And what you don't want to touch for a decent period of time, for at least a couple of years to a few years, right?
A couple of $100, right? 250. So he's not completely broke. He can probably, if he puts 250 and Bitcoin hits $100,000 by November, okay, that's probably money that he didn't
didn't have before.
Okay, very good. James, $5 says, do you think a major drop or a quote dip in Bitcoin and Ethereum will be coming at any point in time? Major drops have been seen in the past. After all, this is exactly what today's show is predicated upon. Bitcoin is almost at an all-time high. People are excited, but they're also very apprehensive because they don't want the bottom to fall out. Dollar cost. So this is the question du jour. Right. Is there a major dip coming? I mean, listen, nobody can predict this stuff, but what did the numbers say?
There's always a dip. There's always going to be a dip. It isn't always straight up. We'll get a dip. It'll recover. We'll hit a more of a steady phase where we're just kind of just staying at the same price for a while, and then we just start going back up because the trend hasn't been destroyed. This is also another thing too that ends up happening is that not to say James and for him and stuff, but like people get this thing of paralysis analysis. They want to wait. They only want to buy when there's a dip. But the problem is that a lot of them get gun shy and don't pull the trigger at the dip because they think it's going to go lower. And then when it doesn't hit their target and then it recovers and it starts going back up, they end up buying at a worse price. So wow. A lot of the guys, it's just your dollar cost in. Obviously, when you get a dip, just purchase. You're not going to, like, unless you just get lucky, you're not going to buy the absolute low. But it's at the same time, you're not also when you're not going to buy the absolute high. So it's yeah.
That makes sense. Is Bitcoin at an all-time high? Did I get that wrong?
It's right under it. It was at $42,000 the other day. It's currently at $40,700. So it's right around there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I was thinking maybe it was like at an all-time high like 2 years ago or something like that. But this is clearly the best it's ever done. Gentlemen, we're going to leave it right there. I think I know why I'm having, quote, sound issues. Macs are very finicky, and I used my the sound mixer. I have 2 Rodecaster Pros. One of them doesn't work, and I'm still waiting for Rode to get back with me. Long story. And so I took it out and used it on my other Mac, brought it back in here. I don't know if I use the same wire. I don't even know if I put it in the same place. I do know that Apple computers are very, very finicky. So if everything is not exactly like, if my water bottle is in a different spot, I'm going to have sound issues if you have a Mac. So I'm going to tinker around with that. Hopefully I'll get that all squared away, and taken care of. And Devin is sending me nudes in Slack, so I've got business to take care of there. Gentlemen, thank you guys very, very much for joining us tonight. Listen, we will see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Listen, let's go around the room. Where do you think Bitcoin will be by the time we're on the air next week?
I have my answer. Basic.
Go ahead. What do you got? What do you got?
I'll say between 45 to 52,000.
Oh, okay. So it's not going to be a 21% jump like it was this past week.
Well, I mean, it depends. I think the last 4 weeks have been about a 20 to 35% jump, so it could be much higher. I'm looking for my target in the next couple of weeks is about 62K. Could go a little higher, could go a little lower, but yeah, just in terms of next week, yeah, somewhere between there would be reasonable.
Okay. All right, very good, very good. Dollar cost. Have any predictions?
I think we're probably going to be like 48K. I think.
48. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Dollar cost is a little more optimistic. Listen, whatever the case may be, I think we're all in for a great ride next week. Charlie, what I'd like to do is I'd like for you to put my, obviously we'll blur out all of the
I get you.
proprietary information, and we'll let guys know, hey, this is what Donovan is doing. Listen, and they have complete control over my portfolio. So listen, I gave this guy, $4,000 3 days ago. I've already made $1,000. So there we go. Like that's how this is going. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys. Have a good Saturday, and we will see you guys